There is an America they never want you to see. Not the dazzling skyscrapers or the glamorous boulevards, but a post-apocalyptic landscape where people are no longer truly living, just struggling to survive. While the US government spends hundreds of billions of dollars on international aid, right within its own borders, hundreds of thousands of people are left behind in hardship and despair. They have no home, no future, and seem to have been forgotten by society. From the glittering capital of cinema to streets flooded with illicit substances sold like candy, the homelessness crisis is spreading at an alarming rate. The land of opportunity has turned into a nightmare, where the American dream is swallowed by darkness. What has driven hundreds of thousands into homelessness? Which hotspots have become the epicenters of this crisis? And is there any way out for those forgotten in the heart of America? Let's uncover the 10 most extreme homelessness hotspots in the US. Make sure you're brave enough to keep watching, because the truth may leave you stunned. Stop this video immediately if you have a weak heart. A full-scale invasion of the living dead is unfolding right in the heart of Hollywood, and what you're about to see might haunt you forever. No, this isn't a behind-the-scenes look at The Walking Dead. This is Skid Row, a hellish slum hidden within one of the world's most glamorous cities. A forgotten land where 4,000 abandoned souls drift through life like empty shells, wandering between tattered tents, towering piles of trash, and the overwhelming stench of neglect. Here, illegal substances are exchanged as casually as candy. Transactions happen in broad daylight, yet no one intervenes. Why? Because no one cares about a world that has already been cast aside, especially when they are struggling just to survive themselves. No one comes to Skid Row to live. They simply exist. But that's not all, because the true horror of Skid Row unfolds after dark. While neon lights still shimmer over the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a nightmare plays out in the city's shadows. Thousands of hollow figures drift through the streets. The sidewalks, packed to the brim, leave no space to walk. Only gaunt bodies, vacant stares, and endless brawls. A decaying society where people have become invisible, abandoned by the world.
Skid Row hurt me in ways I can't ever explain.
Each person who drifts to Skid Row carries a story of their own. But no matter how their journey began, they all share one thing in common. They turn to substances as their only escape. And so, the vicious cycle of addiction and poverty pulls them deeper, dragging them further to the bottom of society. Skid Row is no longer just a neighborhood. It has become the final destination for lost souls. But the cruelest tragedy isn't those who have lost everything. It's the children who never had anything to begin with. In Skid Row, childhood has no room for dreams. No schools, no friends. Just days spent growing up among trash-filled streets, makeshift tents, and exhausted faces collapsing under the weight of despair. These children are born into darkness, raised in misery, and if nothing changes, they will become the next generation of the lost. The Los Angeles government hasn't turned a blind eye. Billions of dollars have been funneled into nonprofit programs, and shelters like the newly built 19-story housing complex in Skid Row have been created to provide refuge for those with nowhere else to go. But despite these efforts, meaningful change remains out of reach. If even the local government struggles to provide real solutions, then who will save the people here? Will they all eventually be swallowed by the shadows, trapped in an endless cycle with no way out? Skid Row is no longer just a crisis. It is a warning. What we see in Skid Row today could be a glimpse into the bleak future of the entire America. Let me reveal a chilling truth about the heart of America. Hidden behind the dazzling lights, Manhattan, the economic symbol of the United States, home to the bright lights of Times Square, the bustling streets of Wall Street, and the proud Statue of Liberty. The city that never sleeps, known for its luxury and non-stop energy, day and night. But from another perspective, you'll see a completely different Manhattan, one that never sleeps not because of its vibrancy, but because thousands of people have nowhere to sleep at all. Did you know? Midtown Manhattan, one of the busiest areas in the world, is sinking deeper into a worsening humanitarian crisis. For every 106 people, one is homeless. Despite government efforts to control the situation, the number of people living on the streets hasn't decreased. It's rising faster than ever. Along the sidewalks of Fifth Avenue, the homeless lay scattered among piles of trash. Scenes of struggling individuals wandering aimlessly, lost in addiction, and starving souls collapsing onto outdoor cafe tables, visible to all, yet no one dares to intervene. The American dream has now become a nightmare. In Manhattan, rent prices have reached unimaginable levels, $6,000 per month. That amount could buy a luxury apartment elsewhere. But here, it barely gets you a temporary place to stay. Forget about the poor. Even the middle class can't afford such an outrageous cost of living. Not only that, but an overly lenient legal system has also contributed to the chaos here. In Manhattan, not only is it easy to buy and use illegal substances, but repeat offenders are given endless second chances without facing any real consequences. Criminals have no fear in Manhattan because they know that this place treats them as if they don't exist. Every year, the city pours billions of dollars into homeless support programs. But what's the result? More tent cities springing up, more people forced to sleep on the sidewalks every night. The money is being spent, yet the problem remains unsolved. So where is all that money really going? Without real solutions, this won't just be a social crisis. It will become a billion-dollar homelessness industry, where those profiting grow richer while the homeless remain trapped in endless despair. Once a thriving industrial hub, this place has now become a symbol of class inequality and neglect. Here, extreme wealth stands side by side with extreme poverty. With an average income of £64,800, approximately $87,700 per person, Kensington is home to billionaires, celebrities, and royalty living in luxury. Yet, in stark contrast, around 5,500 homeless individuals barely scrape by, meaning that for every 30 residents, one is without a home. Illicit substances flood the streets like legal goods, especially fentanyl and xylazine, infamously known as the zombie drug. Those trapped in addiction stumble, collapse, or lie unconscious in the middle of the streets, a sight chilling enough to haunt anyone. But the truth is, most addicts here are not using substances for pleasure or euphoria. They use them simply to survive.
It's sick. You're not getting high for fun.
Getting high to maintain, to be able to get up in the morning, to be able to eat, to be able to, do normal things.
In Kensington, illicit substances are no longer a choice. They are a means of survival. They don't lift people up. They simply keep them from falling deeper into the abyss of withdrawal. A vicious cycle with no escape. In response to this crisis, the Philadelphia government has launched support programs, vocational training, job placement, and medical services. At the same time, a forceful campaign was enacted, cleansing Kensington. Tents were torn down, sidewalks cleared, and those with nowhere to go were forced to leave. Order was restored, but for whom? If the homeless cannot access support programs, where will they go? They may disappear from the sidewalks, but not from their suffering. With no shelter left, they drift into the city's hidden corners, where the darkness conceals them, but cannot hide their poverty and despair. A campaign to clean up the city. But who will clean up the lives already rotting away in misery? Forget the glamorous scenes of Venice Beach you've seen in movies. What you are about to witness is the raw, unfiltered reality, one that will leave anyone in shock. Once a shimmering gem, a vibrant tourist hotspot with endless sandy beaches and a carefree spirit, Venice Beach has now turned into a real-life nightmare. It has the second largest homeless population in the city, only behind Skid Row. Around 2,000 people now roam the same streets that were once a tourist paradise. Makeshift tent encampments line the sidewalks, bringing with them crime, drugs, mysterious fires, and the overwhelming stench of human waste. What seems like scenes from a post-apocalyptic movie has become an everyday reality for the residents here. Not stopping there, Venice Beach is no longer just a gathering place for the homeless. It has become a place where society's forgotten souls are cast aside, left to survive on the fringes of existence.
My future? I don't know, man. It's not an easy life. It's pretty rough. I got scars all over my body.
Homeless since the age of 9, traumatized at 11, Chad has spent his entire life without a home, growing up on the streets of Venice. No family, no protection, only himself, struggling to survive each day. But Chad is not alone. thousands of others are barely holding on, trapped in the same desperate cycle. With no choices and no way out, they remain invisible to a society that prefers to look the other way. Instead of finding real solutions, the authorities have chosen to ignore the crisis, pushing them further into the shadows, out of sight, out of mind. Despite repeated pleas from residents and tourists alike, the government has done nothing to end this nightmare. No policies, no action, only silence and indifference. There is no sign that this crisis will end anytime soon. Could this be the downfall of Los Angeles' iconic hub of art and diversity? Would you dare live in a place with no police, no taxes, and no rules? It sounds bizarre, but that is exactly what defines Slab City. The last free place in America. Located in the desolate California desert, Slab City is a land where graffiti-covered walls stand tall, and homes are makeshift shelters built from scrap metal and abandoned cars. No one asks where you came from, and no one judges who you are. It is a haven for drifters, outcasts, and those with nowhere else to go. A world without barriers, where you are free to express yourself however you choose. But freedom always comes at a price. Without police or a legal system, Slab City has become a true wild land. It attracts not only those seeking to live outside the system, but also those who exploit lawlessness for their own gain. There are no police. No one will come to your aid if something happens. Here, you are the only one who can protect yourself. Despite the harshness, Slab City remains a community. Its residents have built a unique society of their own, small tribes, and camps that provide food, clothing, and shelter to anyone in need. A mosaic of broken lives, bound together in a fight for survival in the unforgiving desert. Yet this fragile freedom is under threat. The California government has repeatedly attempted to sell the land, seeking to turn it into something more normal. But the residents of Slab City have fought back, determined to buy the land they call home. Even if they succeed in securing the land, one question remains. Can Slab City truly last forever? Outside development looms, threatening to transform it into a structured, regulated area, one that would strip away its untamed spirit of freedom. The future of the last free place in America is uncertain, but one thing is clear: its people will not surrender easily. Do you think you could survive in 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, heat without a fan, without air conditioning, and not even a drop of water to drink? Imagine this. The pavement burns your feet like scorching coals. No shade, no shelter, only the relentless sun beating down, turning the city into a giant furnace. The heat is strong enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk, and strong enough to take a life. This isn't a survival challenge on a reality show. This is the daily struggle of thousands of homeless people in Phoenix. At one point, over 1,000 homeless individuals were crammed into a tent city stretching across 15 blocks, known as the Zone. Theft, drugs, violence, all blended into a chaotic storm of despair. In Phoenix, survival isn't just about enduring the blistering heat. It's about fighting for every moment in a place filled with danger. For many, the Zone was hell. But for the homeless, it was the only thing they had left. Yet even that fragile refuge is now gone. The city ordered the Zone to be cleared out, reclaiming streets once overtaken by makeshift shelters. But as the last tarp was torn down and the roads restored to their clean state, one question remains: where did these people go? Some charitable organizations have proposed a solution to help the homeless. They are converting abandoned shipping containers into housing for the homeless. These homes are built from recycled materials, are sustainable, and, most importantly, come with air conditioning, a near luxury for those accustomed to the scorching heat of Phoenix. However, 6 months have passed since the eviction campaign ended, yet homelessness in Phoenix has not decreased. Many local business owners complain that crime and disorder persist, as if the cleanup never happened. So, what is the real solution for Phoenix? When the root cause of the problem remains unaddressed, will there ever be a day when this city stops burning in the endless cycle of poverty and despair? Phoenix continues to burn under the relentless sun, and out there, countless lives are quietly being consumed by the flames, day after day. Seattle, the city of technology, wealth, and towering skyscrapers, but also a place where thousands of people are forced to sleep on sidewalks, in dark and freezing alleys. When night falls, Seattle is no longer a paradise of prosperity. but a hell for the forgotten. Souls abandoned by society, struggling every day just to survive. Do you think only the lazy end up homeless? The truth is far more brutal. Alexander Nicholas, a man who was once homeless, is living proof of this harsh reality. He holds 2 associate degrees, yet he still couldn't find a job that paid enough to afford even the smallest apartment in Seattle. The cheapest rent here is $1,000 per month. To afford a place to live, one needs to earn at least $18.75 per hour, an impossible number for those who have been on the streets for too long. Without a stable address or valid documents, no one is willing to offer them a job that pays enough to live. The Seattle government has opened shelters, but reality is far crueler than it seems. No one truly wants to go there. Why? Because these shelters are even more dangerous than sleeping on the streets. Any possession can be stolen the moment you close your eyes. Women risk being harassed or even assaulted within the very walls that are supposed to keep them safe. These shelters are infested with bed bugs, rats, and disease, turning each night into a never-ending nightmare. When a shelter is worse than sleeping outside, what other choice do the homeless have? The next hotspot is Santa Clara. Santa Clara is witnessing an unprecedented surge in homelessness, an alarming 24% increase in the number of people without shelter. Among them, the homelessness rate among people of color is significantly higher than other groups, exposing the deep-rooted inequalities in the housing and social support system. The crisis has only worsened due to consecutive shocks in recent years. COVID-19 left thousands unemployed. Rent prices soared by 12% in just 18 months. Inflation skyrocketed, and eviction moratoriums expired. The wealth gap continues to widen, while affordable housing becomes increasingly scarce, forcing more and more people into homelessness, unable to find stable shelter. In 2024 alone, nearly 200 homeless individuals lost their lives from enduring harsh conditions on the streets. To honor them, the community lit candles, a symbol of mourning and a stark reminder of the brutal reality faced by those struggling with homelessness. Jackie Escobar knows this reality all too well. She spent 4 years wandering, sleeping on park benches or in makeshift tents. But fortunately, she received help and was able to move into a new apartment. The feeling is overwhelming. Relief, fear, and happiness all at once, she shared. I made it, but the 197 lost lives weren't just numbers. They were 197 untold stories, 197 souls who couldn't escape homelessness. To help those still fighting for stability, the government has launched a rental and utility assistance program lasting from 4 to 6 months, giving people enough time to secure jobs and rebuild their lives. Beyond that, Santa Clara has set a goal to construct 20,000 supportive housing units over the next 5 years, offering hope for thousands still living without a home. But is that enough to end this crisis? Santa Clara may be on the right path, but the road ahead is long. Will these efforts be enough to restore hope for the homeless, or will we continue to witness even more tragedies unfold? Amidst one of the wealthiest cities in America, there exists a place where prosperity's light has never reached. Tenderloin, the Valley of Darkness in the heart of San Francisco, one of the most dazzling cities on the West Coast. This is where homelessness, crime, and drug abuse reach their peak, where the streets are not only filled with trash, but also with lost souls wandering aimlessly in the night. It's no surprise that this area has been ravaged by homelessness and drug use for decades. Despite efforts to eliminate these issues, Tenderloin remains one of the largest open-air drug markets in the US. If you have money, you can buy anything in an instant. Walgreens and CVS stores here constantly have their windows smashed, and employees can do nothing but lock up everything that might be stolen. It's not just people. Even canned spam isn't safe in this neighborhood. Many believe that the San Francisco government has been too lenient on crime. Authorities see it as their duty to help those suffering from addiction rather than cracking down on drug dealers. This has only worsened the situation in Tenderloin. However, things now seem to be changing. The recall of the former district attorney has sparked new hope for a safer Tenderloin. Additionally, a nonprofit organization called Code Tenderloin is working to change the lives of many homeless individuals. They provide job opportunities and have helped over 1,500 people build better lives. Glimmers of hope are beginning to emerge in Tenderloin. Despite the many challenges, efforts from both the government and the people are gradually improving the situation, helping Tenderloin reclaim its former glory. Once a symbol of freedom and tolerance, the streets of Berkeley now resemble the aftermath of a war. Tents crowd the sidewalks, parks are occupied, and the homeless are everywhere, from street corners to right in front of residents' doorsteps. Residents feel unsafe living among makeshift encampments, and even businesses are at risk of collapse. Many business owners have filed lawsuits against the city, claiming that the homeless encampments are killing the local economy. But the pressing question remains, where will the homeless go if these encampments are dismantled? The city may issue orders to clear the camps, but without a relocation plan, the homeless will simply spill into residential areas, escalating residents' concerns even further. Under mounting pressure, the Berkeley government decided to take drastic action, clearing out homeless encampments to restore the city's image. But there is a paradox. The city is only dismantling the camps without any plans for relocation or alternative shelters. Many people are outraged by this policy. They believe that Berkeley should invest time and money in working with the homeless community to address the root causes of the issue, rather than simply sweeping away shelters and trying to erase the homeless. Can this shallow, temporary solution truly resolve the crisis? Will Berkeley rise again, or will it continue to decline, becoming one of the forgotten ruins of a war waged in the heart of America? These hotspots, once symbols of the American dream, have slowly turned into an endless nightmare. From Skid Row to Kensington, from Venice Beach to Tenderloin, these forgotten lands not only reflect the decay of once glamorous urban areas, but also serve as a dire warning of an escalating humanitarian crisis. Today, it's Manhattan and Santa Clara. Tomorrow, it could be your very own city. When injustice and suffering spread, nowhere is truly safe anymore. What do you think is the future of America? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay updated with our latest videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.